as he mentioned, as he said, he has not played in a very, very long time. And so it's one thing, okay, scrimmaging against G League, scrimmaging in practice.
The QuickBooks Self-Employed app allows me to take a photo of my receipts.
Let's get into Isaiah Thomas. He's finally ready to make his Cavs debut tonight against the Trailblazers. We may not see him too much, though, since he'll be coming off the bench and on a minutes restriction. But when the Cavs travel to Boston tomorrow night, Celtics fans might not be able to get a look at him because the Cavs plan to hold Thomas out of the game completely since it's part of a back-to-back. Stephen A., do you have a problem if Thomas doesn't play tomorrow night against the
Hell yes. Hell yes. I'm going to say it again. And oh, by the way, I'll be at the game. Got to cover the game for ESPN. I'm very upset about it. Let me tell you something right now. This is Isaiah Thomas. I mean, he can be a sensitive lad from time to time, but the bottom line is he's a great dude, phenomenal young player, phenomenal player, miniature player, 5'9", average 28.9 a game, 46% shooting last year, 38% from three-point range, was a league MVP candidate, but the hips went bad, and the first day you come back is the day before you go against Boston, and not Boston? Now, I understand what this means. We got to know because, he hasn't played all season long, so he might not be ready. And if he might not be ready, why would we expose him against his old team back in Boston? But let me tell you something right now. If the city, and the city of Boston is a phenomenal sports town, I am willing to bet the house that they're going to give him a wonderful ovation. They love the kid because he never wanted to leave. It would have been nice to see him play tomorrow.
They're thinking about Boston. They're thinking about Golden State, and that's what this is all about.
But then why play tonight?
Because he's ready to play.
Or then he should be ready to play tomorrow.
Right, except they don't want to play him second of back-to-backs. This is
Well,
what
why
they're
can't he
doing.
play tomorrow?
Because he's
Instead of
playing.
tonight.
Well, because he's ready now.
I'm saying, no, man. I'm not trying to get slick, Molly.
He's ready now.
Hold on. So if he's ready now, why wouldn't he be ready tomorrow? And if you don't want to play him tomorrow, and if you're gonna play him, why not play him tomorrow? Who cares about him against Portland? It's not an accident that he ain't playing against
Maybe
Portland.
a million reasons. You don't want to tip your hand. You don't want to have him get negative attention in the event.
I thought you had the king. I thought you had the king.
The point is, they're doing this in Philadelphia with Embiid.
It's not the same.
That's the process.
It's not the
Because
same.
he's not playing the second back-to-back, he's been averaging 6 more minutes a game, and as a result, they have a winning record
You a young
when Embiid
nonsense
plays.
psychopath. That got nothing. That has nothing to do with this. That has nothing to do with this. You could sit him tonight and let him play against his own. If you want to, as a fan, do you want to see him against Portland, or do you want to see him against Boston?
I see him against Boston. He's ready to play tonight.
Oh, come on. They're coming at tomorrow. Who care about him against Portland? I want to see Isaiah against the Celtics.
You'll see in the playoffs.
February 11th on ABC.
Sure.
So we got to wait till after the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Stop it.
QuickBooks.
One of the 55 million Americans who drive a personal car for work and don't track your business miles, you'd be...
Now you get out there with the people. They're not going to be feeling sorry for Isaiah Thomas. They're going to run him over. They're going to make him work. They're going to try to make him shuffle side to side. Now, we know he ain't about sitting in that chair playing defense anyway, Skip. But even on the offensive end, everything that he does is predicated on being explosive and being quick. Now, how healthy is the hip? Now, they say they're going to limit him to somewhere between 8 and 12 minutes. He's not going to start out playing back-to-back because I believe he will be extremely sore even playing those 8 to 12 minutes, considering he hadn't had that kind of workload in meaningful action since, June? Well, I guess the end of May. Yeah. So it's been a long time, Skip, so he's had to work up a nice little lather. I expect him to be excited. He'll probably get some run with that second unit. It might be a situation when it works itself out that LeBron will go to the bench with, say, 8.5, 9 minutes played in the first. Isaiah bring it on home, and then LeBron will start the second quarter with that second unit. I can see them staggering, so somehow one of those guys that can always initiate offense, although that's not Isaiah's strong suit, but can also go get their own shot. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how he meshes with LeBron. I'm interested to see that dynamic because he's not a catch and shoot guy. No, most of the guys that's had success with LeBron are catch and shoot. That's what they've turned Kevin Love into. Kevin Love was mainly a back to the basket guy in Minnesota. Yep. And he was a 26 and 13 guy. But he's turned into more of a stretch. Now he can get a smaller guy on it. He can post you up, but he's mainly shoot the ball from outside. So this is going to be very, very interesting to see. I'm anxious to see how it plays out. What unit, how Ty Lue mix and match these guys together. Because Isaiah's not going to work well with everybody on their roster. Because he's not a catch and shoot guy. He can't get the pick and roll, but they really don't have bigs that pick and roll with the exception of Tristan. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this works out.
Isaiah Thomas is going to start for the Cleveland Cavaliers sooner or later, right?
Yes.
If anybody can figure out how to blend him into the starting unit, LeBron James can.
Correct.
Because I've never seen anybody better at figuring out a dynamic than LeBron is. He will share the basketball. He's still the best passer in basketball. And he can be unselfish when he needs to be to get somebody else involved. He did a great job with Kyrie. They figured out how it worked, you know? And he had to defer, he had to sacrifice. And I'm sure he will figure it out offensively with this little man.
Right.
But this little man has a big ego. And I'm not condemning, I'm not even criticizing. He just does have a big ego because it's propelled him to this stage of his career.
Yes.
And he wants the basketball. He had the 5th highest usage rate in the league last year. He's just used to having the ball in his hands. Right. He's already stated it. I can score 30 a game for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He averaged 29 a game for the Boston Celtics last year.
What he wants more than 30 points, Skip, is he wants that max contract.
Okay.
And he feels that scoring the boatload of points, that's going to give him that. I think he's saying to himself, if I just average 18, 19 points, nobody's going to give me a max contract.
Yeah.
But if I average over 25, I'm more apt to get that. That's what he wants because he was a second-round draft pick, Skip, and he hasn't had that gigantic payday that he sees everybody else getting.
So, in the sport of basketball, unlike the sport of football, you have to play two ways. So, you also have to play the defensive end of the floor. And right now, your Cavaliers are struggling on that end of the floor. They are tied for 28th in defensive efficiency, which means there's only one team worse than them, which is the Sacramento Kings. That will not win any championships. They've got to get better there. They ended up last year tied for 22nd. And it haunts them when they run into a Golden State in the finals because they're just not good enough.
Well, when they went on that winning streak, Skip, they were in the top 10 in defense.
They had a good stretch.
And then they reverted back and they reverted back to losing also.
So, I don't think it's any coincidence that now that Isaiah Thomas is not a Boston Celtic, Kyrie is, Boston is number 1 in the NBA in defensive efficiency. Wow, who knew? That's highly impressive. That's why Boston is sort of staying afloat at the top of the Eastern Conference. Last year, Boston was 12th in defensive efficiency, and now they're first. So, little Isaiah, as you point out, does not like to sit in that chair and play defense. It's just not his forte. No. It's not his strong suit. What is he, 5'10"-ish? I don't know, 5'11", maybe?
Being kind. Yeah. Because, look at T. Lue.
Yeah.
T. Lue look like
you know what? He does.
And T. Lue, what, 6'1"?
I was going to say 6'1". So he's 5'10"-ish. Okay, so he's going to have a hard time defending anybody to start with, and now it's not what he's made of. Well, how are you going to do this when he joins the starting lineup of a team that's ranked tied for 28th in defensive efficiency? That is a recipe for further disaster.
Well, they better be Oklahoma on offense. They better be super duper explosive on offense.
They better be.
Because if you're not, if you insert him and you're already struggling defensively, he better. The only way he can make this work, Skip, he has to punish the guy on the opposing end.
Yeah.
So he has to be more of an asset scoring than a liability on the defensive end.
Yeah.
Now, we know he can score the basketball. Now, LeBron has no problem. If he sees a guy get hot, Skip, you've seen it with Kyrie. Kyrie gets it going, LeBron has no problem.
He'll do it.
He
No, I
can
agree.
stand in the
He's
corner.
great at that.
Kevin Love gets it going.
He does.
Kevin,
Give it up.
get open, I'm going to give you the ball. He tell everybody to clear out, let the guy. So he has no problem with that. And so that's where Isaiah Thomas is going to have to say earn his keep. He's going to have to punish people on the offensive end.
Yep.
Because, Skip, I mean, who is he guarding? Muggsy Bogues? Nate Robinson?
Spud Webb?
Yeah, exactly. He's going to have to guard somebody. Because everybody that he could possibly guard at the point guard or the two guard is substantially taller than he is. And every point guard in the NBA currently, Skip, can go get buckets. Everybody. There's not one point guard on a given night that can't go hit you up for 40 points. Not one.
Well, Lonzo Ball, maybe. He's not a 40-point.
Yeah, well, we're not even talking about that.
No better passer than him, no. But
Stop
they
playing.
Yeah.
Well, you see, they stepped off a cliff. They're dead last in the
Well,
West.
they haven't had Lonzo. Case closed.
Skip, don't do that.
He just shows
Skip,
you
don't
how
do that.
valuable he is.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I'm doing it. So, speaking of your man, LeBron James, they've been just living and dying at the three-point line because he was way over 40%, and he's coming back to earth.
What is he, like 39?
He's 39, and in his last 3 games, he's 3 for 16, which is only 19%.
Yeah, he was 1 for 7 on Saturday.
1 for 7 on Saturday, and he missed that little bunny in the lane with 29 seconds left at Utah. And they lost at SAC, and they lost at Utah.
Well, what happened in Utah, Skip, is that they had a 10-point lead, and I turn around, and they're down 12. I'm like, what happened? Well, what happened is that no defense happened. They let Donovan Mitchell get whatever he
Donovan
wants.
Mitchell is something.
And I don't know what it is, but Rodney Hood, Joe Johnson, ISO Joe averaging 3 points a game, but for some reason he played the Cavaliers, he gets 17. Rodney Hood,
Hey, every time they play the Spurs, Rodney Hood shoots them right in the heart.
yeah.
He can make clutch threes.
He comes in the game and he's pulling up and it's like, well, we'll give him that. Don't give him that. Push up on it.
Well, here we go. The great experiment is about to ensue.
I tell you what, I bet you I'll be happy on Thursday when I come in here. I bet that. You want to put something on that?
Not yet.
Yeah, put something on that.
I don't love
You
it.
got the number 1 team.
I don't love it.
Why you don't love it?
I'm down an all-star.
Who?
There's no Gordon Hayward.
Skip, don't do
Gordon Hayward, they lost an all-star. What if you lost an all-star?
Skip, they've been without Gordon Hayward since game 1. Now, Skip, you need to stop playing. Now you don't see what you done did. You let that alligator mom get that canary butt in trouble. You've been talking about Kyrie.
I'll see. I'll decide by tomorrow what I think. But
You in a
Gordon
foul.
Hayward is.
Why you in a foul?
You were
Skip?
talking.
Introducing Fitbit Ionic, the smartwatch designed for fitness.
All right, so you heard that. Now, Rob will ask you, are you worried about Isaiah's fit in the lineup, number 1? And 2, is your Corvette a drop top?
Yeah, it is a drop top. I'm going to bring it back after the show. But, yeah, you know what? You do have to worry about whenever you bring in a star player to fit in with the other guys. It's not a complimentary player where you just know your role and do your thing. He's out wanting to get his. So now you got to try to figure that out. LeBron has to figure it out because they haven't played together at all and where he fits in. And then the other problem I think that might just be an issue is that he has such a chip on his shoulder. He was so burnt by, being dealt by the Celtics. He's got something to prove. And he talked a big game all off season when he was injured about what he's going to do or whatnot. So you want him to come in but not go crazy, Greg, because that's not what they really need him to do. And you don't want him to think that he has to go out and win it all on his own and start doing things that's unnecessary with that team to fit in. So I think it's going to be an adjustment. I think the team will have some missteps, ups and downs, but ultimately he'll fit in with those guys.
To your point, he's a free agent this summer. He has never gotten paid. This is the guy that was 5th in MVP voting last year, and he's making $6 to $7 million
was
a
set
year
to get paid, right?
Yeah, so he knows he has to play to earn a max contract. Now, if he helps Cleveland win a championship, then even if he's not putting up huge numbers, I think he'll get paid. But that's something to watch. I'm with you. There will be missteps. Their starting schedule in January. They start with a 5-game road trip. They're at Boston. They'll beat Orlando, Minnesota, Toronto, and Indiana. Those are 4 pretty good teams. And then their next game is against Golden State at home. So they, in addition to working Isaiah in, if he's back then, you're going to be going against some tough teams. So I think you'll see some losses. Some people will panic and say, oh, they don't need him.
He don't fit in.
Right. Exactly. But they'll work it out over time. Here's the biggest thing to me with bringing Isaiah back. Kevin Love is playing the best basketball of his career. Now, some of that's that they moved him to center, and I think that's going to help them against Golden State, that he's a center. He'll go outside and shoot threes and all that. But he also knows mentally, I'm the second option. And he's the definitive second option for the first time since he's been in Cleveland. Remember,
not when Isaiah gets back.
Well, I think they're going to have to work that out. Because, and it has to be organic. I don't think you need to say you're the second option, you're the third option or whatever. But it's tough being that third option with LeBron. Remember Chris Bosh in Miami, he basically became a glorified role player. Last year or the previous 3 years, when Kyrie was the second guy, Love was never the same, wasn't the same player. So I think Love is the better second option. I think Isaiah can get his without being a quote-unquote option. He gets to the line a ton. He can penetrate. He obviously can shoot the three. But I think they have to figure out, we have to keep Kevin Love playing the way he is. Isaiah will get his because he's so good and athletic. But let's keep Love kind of, at least subconsciously, as that second option to LeBron.
I agree with both of you. I think when you add a piece like Isaiah Thomas, a ball-dominating point guard, it's going to be intriguing to see not only how he fits and how they fit him in, but my attention immediately goes to Tyronn Lue. I want to see how great of a coach you really are. Or is this really just LeBron coaching and managing everything? Because it's been out when you have a guy who can be as impactful as Isaiah Thomas, a la Chris Paul in the Houston Rockets. What Mike D'Antoni did, he had a strategic game plan going into that, understanding I got 2 all-stars, all-NBA type point guards. How can I make this work? You know what? I can have the ball in their hands for 48 straight minutes. I have the luxury of that. He was smart about it in staggering their minutes and playing mostly Chris Paul with the second unit when he first got acclimated. What I would like to see with Cleveland and Tyronn Lue is integrate him in a way to where he's in that second unit. Now, with that being said, D-Wade has been very effective with that second unit coming off the bench.
But we just saw in OKC with those 3 guys how somebody feels out of place, and it hasn't worked. But with OKC, it's not nearly as good as
I think it's completely different with OKC, because when you look at a Carmelo Anthony, you look at a player who's unwilling to really say, you know what, I'm not as great as I once was. I need to take a step back.
Guys don't do that.
Exactly. And they don't have a facilitator like LeBron. I mean, that's the thing. Even Westbrook, he gets a lot of assists, but obviously he's not passing the ball, moving the ball.
But there's also a little thing about Isaiah Thomas and the postseason, the reason that he became available. I mean, he had a great regular season. He was exposed in the playoffs, and when you're a smaller guy, he wasn't.
He led them to the conference finals.
No, I got that. But
didn't he have a 50-something point game?
But he
that's exposed.
Yeah, he was exposed from the standpoint.
I see where you're going.
Yeah, from the standpoint that I just thought that, and he was banged up. Don't get me wrong, but defensively when you're a smaller guy. We've seen it in the postseason with guys. During the regular season, it plays just fine. Then you get to the postseason, and your size does matter. That's why the Celtics decided to make a move. I don't think that they really believed that they could win with Isaiah being the guy, and they got a chance to get Kyrie. Kyrie wants out, so you make the switch. And I think that's where something else that the Cavs are going to look at and see where exactly he fits in and whether or not he's a postseason liability.
See, I think where he fits in is, again, you have to integrate him in a way to where he doesn't just come right in and he's the focal point. I don't think he can do that. But here's the thing. This is why you love LeBron James, because to your point, they will take a step back. They will have some miscues. They will have some losses that they endure. But once LeBron James identifies, you know what do I need to now become for us to change the narrative and get wins out of this situation and make everybody feel comfortable. He has the ability to do those things like no other player we've seen do it. What I think IT brings to the table that will help, and I agree with you, Kevin Love has to remain a focal point because it keeps him active on the defensive end. It keeps him active on the glass.
I'm not buying it.
Their pick and roll offense with IT and Kevin Love will be huge.
I'm not buying that Isaiah Thomas is cool with Kevin Love being the second option. I don't care what's happened to this point. You just said it. He has a big payday that's there. He's going to get his. He knows he needs certain numbers, especially Chris coming off the injury. So I don't think that he's going to buy into I'll be the third option. I'll clean up the other stuff and get points when off of missed shots and all that kind of stuff. He's going to want to be a part of the offense.
The thing is this: Love's numbers are up from last year. They're the highest they've been as a Cavs. He's actually taking fewer shots now than he was last season. So what has gone up is his efficiency. He's shooting 47, almost 48% from the floor. That's by far a career high. Even in Minnesota when he was great, he's never been an efficient scorer. He's always around 43, 44%. So that is huge. So Isaiah may get the second most shots a game. But Love may end up being the more efficient player and the second leading scorer.
I got you. I'm just saying Isaiah's not going into a free agent year going to settle for being third banana.
If he averages 17 points and they either win a championship or push Golden State to 7 games or even a tough 6, that can help him on the market.
And if he scores 15 and they don't win a championship, that ain't going to help him on the market.
See, I think you're looking at it totally wrong because people will identify he's playing with LeBron James. Number one, so you're not going to be the same exact player that you once were when the offense was run through you. You had the ball in your hands 80% of the time in Boston.
Kyrie scored 29 points against the Warriors.
We all know what kind of role Kyrie played.
Analyst Joe Platt. So welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year. See Shannon?
No.
You're the day after. I haven't seen you yet. If you haven't seen someone, you can say
Okay, you get till Wednesday, Joe. You get to the 3rd. You're even to be February 13th. Talk about Happy New Year.
Joe, are you surprised by Alabama's performance?
No, in fact, I thought it was the least surprising thing of the entire day. Yeah, I was actually pretty surprised that Clemson laid the egg that they did, in particular with Kelly Bryant's form in the last 3 or 4 games in the regular season. I was surprised that Jake Fromm for Georgia had so much poise in his last drive in the 4th quarter. I was surprised at the conservative nature that Oklahoma took late in that game offensively. The least surprising thing of the day was that Bama played great on defense. That's what they do. Since 2007, there's been no team in college football that has held more teams to under 200 yards. 49th time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
49th time.
Did you know that?
Wait, you're cherry-picking stats.
No, that's it. 49 times they held opponents under 200 yards. You know the next closest team?
Who did they close?
Next closest. TCU with 29.
What?
20 games.
We torched TCU twice this year.
20 games. Listen, that team came out with a purpose, a very clear purpose. They were going to reestablish their identity on the defensive side, and let's face it, If Nick Saban has a month, guess what he does? He shuts people down. They shut out Michigan State 2 years ago. They held Washington. Washington didn't have much of a chance in that ball game. The only team that had a chance was one of the most physically gifted and talented teams I've seen in a long time, which was the Zeke Elliott Ohio State team that could actually just sit there and line up with Alabama. But when you're overmatched like Clemson was last night,
scored 42 in that game, and Zeke ran for 230.
Yeah. But look at all those first rounders they had on that team.
all of them.
Joey Bosa, all those guys were there.
Here's another aspect, and I do want to bring up that game as a comparison because I know that that's going to be one of the things in your arsenal that you bring up, right, is these games. Do you understand that if you can't get the ball down the field against Alabama, you have no shot? No shot. Michigan State couldn't do it. Washington couldn't do it last year, and Clemson had no plan to push the ball down the field. And this was very obvious that when you give Saban a month to prepare for Clemson, he's going to shut you down. But when Clemson only had 1 week to prepare for Alabama, they were able to get things done, in particular with Deshaun Watson.
That's it. Clemson had Deshaun Watson, and as I told him earlier, the drop-off from Deshaun Watson to Kelly Bryant was like going from Tom Brady to Tom Savage. That's how severe it was because...
I don't know about that.
Well, seriously, Kelly Bryant was horrendous last night, and I'm with you. I watched him, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. I thought he was decent.
He was getting better.
Yeah,
no
he
doubt.
looked like he could throw it a little in the regular season games, and all of a sudden you put him on this stage under those lights, under that fire from that defense, and he just crumbled. He can run it a little bit, but he couldn't throw it a lick last night. And if you can't throw it a lick, you got no shot. And Etienne is not bad, and he got his bell rung early in the second quarter, and then he was pretty useless the rest of the game. So I thought they could establish a little bit, just like a credible bit of run. And then, as you brought up, Minka Fitzpatrick is really good. He's the best DB in the country, and they just put him on poor little Hunter Renfrow and just said, no,
He didn't have a
you
chance.
can't have him.
You take a possible top 5 pick and put him on a former walk-on.
You do. And the walk-on's pretty,
Yeah,
he's pretty shifty.
He shows what Coach Saban thinks about him.
That's true.
That is
That's
correct.
true.
And he made 2 nice catches late in that last ill-fated drive that resulted in no points. But the point is, Minka said after the game, I put hands on him. And he did. He just got up and got physical with him and took him out of the game and took the security blanket away from the young quarterback who was just lost. But all that said, don't forget this. Clemson has the ball and is actually driving the football and is all the way down to 1st and 10 at the Alabama 35, and it's mid-third quarter, and it's still only 10-6 Alabama. And all of a sudden, Kelly Bryant drops back, and these are just back-to-back bad luck plays, and he gets blown up as he's trying to throw, and the ball squirts sideways, and the big fella, Payne, snatches it. He did. He made a nice catch, and he rumbled and stumbled down, and he gets a horse collar, and all of a sudden, they're in business 1st and 10 at the 27 of Clemson, and go boom, 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 touchdown, and now it's 17-6, and then the very next play, so 13 seconds later, Kelly Bryant tries to force one in, the ball gets batted up in the air, and it's pick 6.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it goes from 10-6 to 24-6, and the game is over. Well, it was really a 2-play game, and that was it, ball game. But until that point, I'm just saying, well, this is like a 50-50. I wasn't sure anybody was going to score more than like 14 points, 16 points maybe.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised Alabama won. I'm surprised with the relative ease at which they won. Because I don't think Alabama ever felt they were in jeopardy because Clemson has shown no signs that they can consistently move the ball. So unless they got a pick 6 or they got a scoop and score, the likelihood of them driving the ball 70 yards, 80 yards, because remember, Alabama kept them backed up. So now all of a sudden you're going to have to drive. You're not against Alabama unless you got. See, Skip, when you talk about Deshaun Watson, look what he did to Belichick's defense. Look what he did to the Legion of Boom.
Love him. I love him.
You know what he can do. Cam Newton. So we're talking about guys that have extraordinary college careers,
Correct.
but they've been that in the NFL also. A guy that can only run the football, he's got to be more than certain to beat Coach Saban because his defense, they're predicated and choking out the run. They got to make you one-dimensional, Skip, because they play a base 3-4 and they like to keep big people on the field. Well, now if they can't stop the run, they got to take those big people off and put little guys on
down the field.
Yes,
For how
yes.
they would attack down the field. Those safeties get a little bit softer, and then all of a sudden you hit a three-man front right there on one side of the center. Another thing, guys, is you bring up, that's only one play or two plays, and I agree. Listen, 10-6, you think, boy, Clemson's got a little momentum. However, that was after Alabama had turned the ball over in their own territory, and Clemson only got a field goal out. That's when I thought to myself, okay, this isn't happening.
Then he get a yard, and then Jalen Hurts. Calvin Ridley's like 10 yards behind the secondary. All Jalen Hurts has to do is throw the ball. He underthrows, the safety gets back in and makes the play. If that score gets to 17-3, it might end up being 31-3. You never know. They were from 20 yards. When they asked Coach Saban, what did he say against Old School? He said, we got away from our idea.
They gave up 168 rush yards to Auburn.
With skill on 49 attempts.
Okay, but it's what Auburn does, and you couldn't stop them from doing what they do. They trick you. It's all this direction. It's going to have a little different offense.
But instead of the ball on wheels right here. So we're going to see. Because I don't believe Sonny Michel and Chubb will run the football effectively against Alabama like they did Oklahoma. So now the true threat will have to play big. Now, Coach Saban, like to do right? Get you.
They're trying. Georgia's going to do, or at least try to do, something that I candidly haven't seen in safe areas, which is
line up in the eye.
Just go to the center of the ring and say, let's go. I mean, they are. Good luck, I guess. I mean, that's why clearly Bama
tried to do very straight here. Leonard Fournette, it went nowhere.
It's hard to line up in eye formation and say, we're going to pitch it to you or we're going to hand it to you and run the ball down his throat. He goes and gets a certain type. If you look at all his linemen that he's sent to the NFL, they're all built the same way, Skip. They're about somewhere between 6'3" and under, and they're like 325. That's what he wants because he refuses to let you run the football.
Yeah.
But if you can run it a little, just a little, but you got a quarterback, you look at the quarterback that's beating Johnny Manziel, Tebow, Cam Newton, Deshaun Watson, Chad Kelly,
Trevor Knight. I can keep.
Yeah, but what did he do to Trevor Knight when he got him at Texas A&M? Beat the brakes off.
Yeah, but what did Trevor Knight do to him in the Sugar Bowl?
What do you mean on and on, by the way?
Well, it's on and on.
We're talking about a decade. We're mentioning like 6 guys, and you're like on and on. Like 49 times they've given up less than 200 yards.
Trevor Knight put up 45 on Alabama in a Sugar Bowl? This is Trevor Knight. We're not talking about Deshaun Watson.
Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, they play 12 games a year. 12, so that's 120 games. You pick out 8. What happened in the 100?
I'm picking out the championship, the bowl games. I'm only doing bowl games.
Okay.
I'll throw in one kick-6 game where he gave up 34 to Auburn. But
you know he's going for his 5th national title.
Okay.
I'm
just saying.
Nobody's ever done
I'm only going back the last 4 years, and it's like one big disaster after another. Deshaun scores 40. Deshaun scores 35. That's a lot of points.
I mean, he was a transcendent player. Deshaun was.
Yes, Cam Newton.
I mean, look at what
Johnny did. Skip. Johnny McZahn had what?
It's Saint Nick we're talking about. Don't give me transcendent player when you got Saint Nick.
I mean, listen.
Any
metric that you can possibly bring up, they're the best defense. They're the best team in the last decade.
Okay.
Any metric that you can possibly bring up.
Okay.
Now, there are going to be occurrences where a great player, a transcendent player, a couple of Heisman Trophy winners, a guy that should have won the Heisman Trophy.
Trevor Knight?
I mean, you're talking about like 1 or 2 instances in a decade where a guy that's not a Heisman Trophy caliber player actually beats them. 49 times they've given up less than 200 yards. That's 20 more than any other team in
college game. I mean, a 300-yard game.
But those are overrated SEC games. Seriously. Those are Vanderbilt games.
You got me.
You don't play
This
Vanderbilt.
year, the bulk of their conference was extremely overrated, except for these 2 that we're going to see in the national championship.
Behemoths.
But the previous, 8, 9 years, that's a tough argument.
Why
you know what? That
used to be. Why did they go to a playoff? Because they got tired of SEC teams winning. SEC teams were playing each other.
That's not quite true. They got tired of exactly what we're going to have on Monday.
Oh, your ring?
SEC championship game. That's why we have a
Your
playoff,
ring.
which is going to be interesting. Just
My ring?
in the future, where this playoff goes, it's going to be interesting because now we've got a team that didn't win their state championship, didn't win their division, didn't win their
I think it was in
conference,
2
doesn't have a
boxes.
chance to play for
All I know is that St. Nick got one huge break this year. He got in to start with when he didn't deserve to.
He deserved.
Then he got Kelly Bryant, and now he's going to get a true freshman with a team that just runs the football.
Oh,
thank you, God.
But don't
I mean, if they don't beat Georgia, then I'll maybe like inch closer to your position, but that's a tough
They're
limit
going
to
to
climb.
beat Georgia.
They
This is on a
probably-
silver
hold on.
championship
Okay,
platter.
Getting in is one thing. But don't you got to do something when you get there? I mean, what good is going to the restaurant if I ain't got no money to buy nothing when I get there, yo? I just look at the menu, look, boy,
Maybe someone will give you some.
ooh, that white hoop sure look good. If I can just get
These
that
are big
tomahawk.
rip. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed. Or
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.
Good is in every Blue Diamond almond. And once good gets going, there's no stopping it. Blue Diamond almonds. Get your good going. Official snack nut of the U.S. ski and snowboard team.
What's up, everybody? Big Hurt. I'm chilling here with the homie from the north side, you know, giving you some tales from the north side. And I'm going to have him kind of break down some misconceptions and provide some information on you guys on, you know, the norteños and serranos in the prison system. So one of the questions, you know, I want to ask you is, why are there predominantly two...
What's up, everybody? Are you excited I'm going to work?
I muted that. Fuck. Thanks, use that. I can't deal. I gotta mute that. Fuck. I ain't giving him the ball no more. I made a mistake on that one. What? I can't. Fuck. Fucking shit.